You've spoken multiple times with your counterparts in South Africa, where Omicron has become the dominant variant in just 2 weeks. What are they telling you about the spread and perhaps more importantly, the severity of cases there?
Well, with the latter, Jake, they don't know. And we are really in virtual constant contact with them. They have a number of patients that they're following in their medical facilities. And they assured us that they would know probably in a matter of a week and a half, as to whether or not we're dealing with something that, for the most part, is more severe, equally as severe, or less severe. It could be either of them. Right now, it does not look like there's a big signal of a high degree of severity. But it's too early to tell, Jake. We really need to wait for them to give us the information. They have been extremely cooperative and collaborative and transparent with us about what's going on there. Very helpful.
President Biden said today that he does not anticipate expanding U.S. travel restrictions, even though almost 20 countries now have confirmed cases of the new Omicron variant. Given what we've seen with this virus, do you expect more travel restrictions if Omicron is proven to be more contagious and more deadly?
I don't think so, Jake. I think what was done about the restrictions from South Africa and neighboring countries was merely because when the information came out about the molecular makeup of this virus with all of the mutations that were of concern, we felt we needed to do something right away. Hopefully, those restrictions are not going to be a very long duration until we get a handle as to what's going on, but we do not anticipate any further restrictions.
South Africa's president called these new travel restrictions unjustified. The man considered the Fauci of South Africa said this today on CNN. Take a listen.
Well, firstly, it's outrageous that South Africa and Southern Africa is being punished for having good surveillance and ensuring that we wanted to be completely transparent. So this kind of early knee-jerk reaction to block travel is probably just going to slow the seeding slightly at best, but will probably have little, if any, impact.
Do you disagree with what he just said? I mean, he's saying it's probably not going to have much of an impact.
It's not going to have an impact in the big picture of whether it gets here or not. But what impact it will have, Jake, it will buy us maybe a couple of weeks of getting better prepared. Whenever you do something like give travel restrictions, you don't do it just for no reason. You do it to allow you to get a leeway, a little bit period of time of maybe a week or two to intensify your preparedness and to understand what's going on better. And that's the reason why the president said at the press conference today, now's the time to say, what can we do about this? The unvaccinated need to get vaccinated, and those who are eligible to get boosted should get boosted. Because we know from experience, Jake, that even with variants that are not specifically directed at by the vaccine, such as the Delta variant, if you get the level of antibody high enough, the protection spills over to those other variants. So we have every reason to believe, even though this is an extraordinary, unusual variant because of the number of mutations, there's no reason to believe that it will not happen, that if you get the level of antibody high with the regular booster to the regular vaccine, that you're going to have at least some effect, and hopefully a good effect, on our ability to protect against this variant.
You said that PCR tests, coronavirus tests, should detect cases of this new COVID variant. But what about those who instead use those popular at-home rapid tests? Could Omicron be much more widespread than the ability to track it because those tests don't work on Omicron?
It's interesting. I asked that question just yesterday because I was on a prolonged Zoom call with our South African colleagues, and they said at least some of the rapid antigen tests would pick this up. He couldn't guarantee that all of them would, but the ones that they were using, he didn't specifically say what they were, is that the mutations did not interfere with the ability to recognize the antigen by the antibodies that were used in the rapid tests. So that is a good thing. The PCR tests that are used can pick it up. Lucky for us that that's the case.
Do you expect that the Omicron variant will become the dominant variant in the United States at some point?
Jake, we just can't predict that. We don't know. And that's the reason why we are looking now at what the pattern is in South Africa. It's unfortunate that South Africa has been sort of the epicenter of at least the recognition of it. But the good news is they are as good as it gets when it comes to scientists and public health people. So they'll be able to give us some very important information, hopefully within the next week or two.
Today, New York City made masks highly recommended. We're now in the thick of holiday gatherings, people spending more time indoors because of the cold weather. Would you urge cities and states to reinstate mask mandates and social distancing measures? And what do you say to those people? And I've seen, Republican members of Congress say they don't think masking does anything.
Well, masking certainly does something. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The idea about mandates, again, it depends on where you are and what the circumstances you're in. One thing for sure, that if you are in an indoor congregate setting where you don't know the vaccination status of the people around you, you should wear a mask. We're going to be traveling soon. People will be traveling for the upcoming holidays. You're going to be in airports that are generally crowded. Keep that mask on. I know when people go to eat at the food courts, to the best of your ability, stay away from that and keep your mask on. You have to have a mask on when you're on the plane, but make sure you have it on when you're at the airport.
So do you think cities should have mask mandates?
I'm not going to speculate on that. I want to see what happens right now. Right now, we should be focusing on what's going on in our own country. We have a Delta variant that is overwhelmingly dominant. We have 60 plus million people who are eligible to be vaccinated who are not yet gotten vaccinated. And we want to get a lot more people who are eligible to be boosted. Vaccination is going to be the solution to this, whether it's the Delta variant or whether it's the Omicron variant. Vaccination is going to be the solution.